Welcome back. I'm Alex Wilcox. It takes a lot to put yourself at risk to serve others, and our next guest is doing just that. Joe Holt, a professor in the Mendoza College of Business, serves twice weekly as a volunteer nurse's aide in the intensive care unit of the Franciscan Health Olympia Fields Hospital, located just south of Chicago. Professor, welcome to the fight.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be part of an otherwise impressive lineup. Tough to follow up Coach Bray.
Well, now, you've said that your Jesuit training inspired your desire to help in any way possible. Can you tell us a little bit about this training?
Sure, I'll be glad to. So Jesuits seek the greater glory of God. So Jesuit training equips you not to ask the question, is this a good thing to do with my God-given time and talent? You ask the question, is this the best possible thing I could be doing? So on the one hand, given my knowledge, experience, training, skills. On the other hand, given the most pressing needs of the world in which I live in, am I doing the best possible thing I could be doing at the moment? So some neighbors were forming a team to volunteer at a local food bank, for example, and that would have been a very good thing to do. But given my previous training as a Jesuit working with terminal cancer patients as a nurse's aide, I thought that would be an even better thing for me to do, and there are fewer people who could do that. Second part of Jesuit training is you're encouraged to seek what's called the meanest thing in the house. So the idea is that in a world that encourages you to seek the finer things in life, it can be spiritually beneficial to seek the meanest or lowest things in life. So, to choose the most cramped room with the worst view in the community, for instance, or on Saturdays when we clean the novitiate building, more spiritually beneficial to clean the toilets than to vacuum the hallways and all of that. So that's why, as much as it's a tremendous privilege for me to be a Notre Dame professor, I find it good every now and then to be just some guy in scrubs who makes beds and empties the bedpans. And it does my Bronx Irish soul good.
Now, you've defined your volunteer role as a NAPLAN, and that's part nurse and part chaplain. I'm going to let you take the reins on that one. Tell us a little bit about what that means and, what exactly you do in this very unique NAPLAN role.
Well, I can give you a concrete example. There was a patient who was close to death, and the family asked that prayers could be said. And normally you would call a chaplain for doing that. But hospitals in hot zones across the nation are reluctant to bring chaplains into the ICU for fear of exposing them to a devious, determined, and potentially deadly virus. So the nurse, knowing my background, asked me if I would say some prayers over the patient, and the nurse and I did just that. Later on, when that patient died, the nurse and I went into the room and treated the body and put the body lovingly in a bag as if the patient were one of our parents or a brother and sister, and then I escorted the body to the morgue. So there you see both sides of the NAPLAN position,
wow.
The chaplain part and the nurse's aide part. So.
Now, here at Notre Dame, you teach ethics in the Mendoza College of Business. Do you think that what we're all seeing now will play a part in your teaching in the future?
I think it will. I mean, I think for one thing, I would say that what I've been doing this spring made a much greater impression on my students than anything I said. So maybe I need to work on what's staying in the classroom there. The other thing I would say is at Mendoza, we encourage students to reflect on, what are the values and beliefs that define you as a person, and to live and exercise leadership consistently with those values and beliefs. I think I wouldn't have much credibility encouraging students to do that if I weren't doing it myself. Now, doing it the way I'm doing it, I realize there's some risk involved of sickness. There's even a remote possibility of death. But I'm at peace with that because I'd rather kind of risk dying doing what I think I should be doing in life to help other people desperately in need in a time of crisis than live otherwise. Because I'm not living consistently with the values and beliefs that define me. Is it really me living, or just kind of the fading shadow of my moral and spiritual self? And that's not somebody I'd be proud to see in the mirror in the morning.
Well, Professor, thank you for all the work that you're doing to be a force for good in the community. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us.
You're very welcome. God bless.